Good evening, everyone. We are delighted to announce the return of infamous Dungeons and Dragons. We've been overwhelmed by the support that was shown. We were actually humbled by the lovely things that people said. There was an overwhelming number of views and nice comments. So we are bringing infamous Dungeons and Dragons back. I, of course, am the Bard. I am joined by...
The Doctor.
The Boy.
The Dragon.
And the Sprite.
Now, when last we left our heroes, Suldred, Talamanca, Dagmar, and Terminus, they had just rescued the princeling Harald from the clutches of the evil necromancer Fortinbras the Thrice-Blooded. With Fortinbras thwarted, oh, that's a tongue twister, they emerge back into the early dawn. They're able to take a long rest, and we rejoin our heroes on the road headed north towards the city of Eastwatch, where they hope to return Harald, the third son of the Duchess of Eastwatch, to his family. Now, various things have transpired in that time, and the party has had time to take stock of what it intends to do next. So, I will pass now to the Dragon. How is Dagmar feeling at this point? What are Dagmar's objectives, and how is he doing?
So there, Dagmar. He's pleased. He's relieved that he's accomplished his mission. He's rescued his charge, Harald, but he's walking with a bit of a shuffle in his step. He's recovering a bit from some slight bout of shame from his little encounter with Fortinbras, where he was charged to tackle Fortinbras and ended up running away in fear. And yeah, so he's just wondering how he's going to look the Duchess in the eye when he re-encounters her.
Oh, I like that. I will order point of inspiration to Dagmar right off the bat, because Dagmar's warrior heart did fail him in the last encounter with Fortinbras. I pass now to Suldred. How is Suldred feeling about the situation?
Suldred's feeling fine. Thwarted the horrible child-grabbing monster. Had a bit of fear, but, I'm Fae. Fear is nothing to be ashamed of. And I'm trying to plan my suitable outfit, because I don't really know what dwarves would consider acceptable, because I assume showing up in a bunch of brambles isn't acceptable in dwarf society, so I'll have to figure something out.
Point of clarification, Harold's not a dwarf, is he?
Nor
is the Duchess.
Roll a medicine check.
Oh, yeah.
Just a really tall dwarf.
I have a -1 to this. This isn't going to go well. So that's a 2 with my -1, and that is a 1.
Terminus is programmed for fighting and fixing things. These kind of squishy organics that he's in the company of, he finds it very difficult to tell them apart. So it could be that Harald is just a very tall dwarf. It could be he's a human being. He could be a cat, as far as Terminus is concerned. Terminus is mystified. For everyone else who is not Terminus, it is quite obvious that Harald is not a dwarf. He is a young human, so he's about 14 or 15 years old.
You're right. Okay, I don't know about human society either, okay? And one of them's a dwarf. I'm doing my best. Yeah. And the human's quite small.
Indeed. Over now to Talamanca. How is Talamanca feeling at this point? There's been quite a change in Talamanca.
Yes, well, not unlike Dagmar, Talamanca has a shuffle in his step and is feeling rather ashamed of the time when he shot Harald. Very much the opposite of the intention of this quest. But
I forgot about that.
Beyond that, there has been a change in Talamanca. He's noticed since his brief possession at the hands of the spirit, spectral energy that surrounded the late Fortinbras, he's noticed dark whispers and unending screams that he can hear from the depths of his mind. He finds arcane powers flowing around his fingers and his from his mind. And it seems that he has some ability to cast some magic that he didn't have before.
Alarming.
So,
is anyone who watched the last 4 episodes were like, you know what we need in Talamanca to be fucking supercharged with magic? Yeah. That's what this
could
needs.
Possibly go wrong.
So, mechanically speaking, for our viewership at home, Talamanca has taken a level, everyone has leveled up, Talamanca has taken a level of sorcerer, and this is represented by the strange spirits that tried to possess him. They left something behind in Talamanca's mind. And with that, we now hand over to Terminus. How is Terminus feeling at this stage? What's his intentions? What's he going to do next? How's he doing?
Well, Terminus is doing what he kind of always does in his downtime, which is learn, study, build, experiment, fail, repeat over and over again. So he's been spending a lot of time pouring robot speed through the tome that Professor Falstaff gave him last time. That's kind of the dummy's guide to artificers. To Warforged. And it's tough going. There's a lot of awkward language stuff in there. There's stuff that's just you know, if you're reading like an old like alchemical thing and they refer to, you know, like oil of vitriol, and it takes quite a lot to realise that's just sulfuric acid. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. But he's been planning and he's been experimenting. And he's got a couple of major things that have come out with it. He's upgraded his main like staff, put some new little tricks into that, which we may or may not see depending on situations. But he's got a bit more beans there. He, after its brave sacrifice in the tunnels below Cragspire Keep, he has rebuilt the steel defender, and even better, he has rebuilt it into the Mark II. Because one of the frustrations, Terminus is constantly a character of, what did we do wrong? What can I learn to make sure that doesn't happen again? And one of the big drawbacks of the Mark I was its ability to perceive and understand what's going on, but its inability to communicate it.
Yes.
Obviously, to put a full speech pattern generator into it was beyond Terminus's skill, but it has two little speakers on the front of it, which are each capable of saying a word. One of them can say, good, and the other one says, bad.
I will award a point of inspiration to the Doctor for his excellent role-playing of Terminus. And his...
So Terminus is hoping that'll give the Defender a bit more ability to communicate what it's seen. And finally, he's been making some... he's been kind of like... He's fascinated by human weapons, just because they're not really anything like what he's got. His stuff is... It's really hard to tell, you know, like when his like arm finishes and when his like staff begins, because they're both mechanical things. But human weapons and the way they work are fascinating to him. So he's been playing around quite a lot with Talamanca's little short bow, and he's looking at things and thinking, yeah, it's all right, but its reliance on ammunition is rudimentary. The fact that it relies on tension from a bow rather than using hard light generators seems like a real oversight. And so Talamanca, what you see now as your bow is handed back to you is that it doesn't have a string anymore. It just has two little kind of like devices at either end. And there's a little switch near the front. And when you press that switch, just a bolt of kind of like green light goes zoom and connects the two ends of the actual bow itself. But it's tangible light. You can grab it and you can pull it back. And it has an amazing effect that as you pull back the kind of like string on it, a piece of the similar kind of like hard light substance but filed to a point appears there in the bow, perfectly nocked and ready to roll. So this is this upgraded infused bow no longer has a need for ammunition. It generates its own, which disappears the moment it strikes a target, and it also has, which I've already included in your sheet, +1 to attack and damage rolls, and counts as magical. Now it's had some Terminus tinkering done to it.
Ooh, excellent use of the Artificer class features there, Doctor. Again, I will award a point of inspiration to the Doctor. Now, the party is situated thusly, and we will switch now to our new and improved roving cam as we kind of pan down. Hopefully we can see the party beginning their journey back towards the city of Eastwatch, here on the high road, joined by Harald, and of course with the Steel Defender also in attendance. Now folks, if you like the stream so far, go back, check out our previous videos, like, share, subscribe. We want everyone in the world to see these, so if anyone you know likes Dungeons & Dragons, please do not hesitate to share our content with them. Now, before we begin, Terminus mentioned that he had been studying the tome given to him by Professor Falstaff. Could he please make an investigation roll to see what he has gleaned from the tome, this kind of huge arcane textbook detailing information about Warforged?
Yep, that is a fairly decent investigation normally. No, but that's a nat 1.
Oh dear.
You have inspiration.
I do have inspiration, and I'm going to use it immediately. That's much more like it. That's a 24.
A 24? Nice. Terminus is able to learn quite a lot from this text, so speed reading robotically through it, just kind of scanning as he kind of mechanically flips wildly through the pages. He's able to learn quite a bit of information. So this tome contains detailed information on the creation of Warforged, and it has multiple authors. In fact, this is basically a compendium, like a collection of 3 authors' work that's been kind of bound together in a definitive work on Warforged. The 3 authors that are mentioned explicitly in the text, although there are various pseudonyms for them, Terminus is able to work out there are 3 main authors. And those authors are Jürgen Etherstaff, the Archmage Arneson, and the Baron von Richthofen, are the principal authors of the compendium on Warforged that he holds in his hand. Now, with his exceptionally high investigation roll, he can dig a little bit deeper. He has more insight into what they've been writing about. So Richthofen appears to have written papers on Warforged that specifically pertain to military application, whereas Jürgen Etherstaff seems to be the true master of the discipline. He is an incredibly gifted individual. His research is the most insightful into how you can advance the field of warforging. Whereas the Archmage Adonis is obviously a gifted polymath, but you get the impression that this is someone who has many areas of research interest and he's just dipped in to creating or dipped into warforged construction. More interestingly, Jürgen's notes are the hardest to decipher, but the Archmage Adonis seems to be the only one of the three who has explicitly said he has created something called clockwork soldiers, and he has sent these clockwork soldiers to something called the Mansion of Success by flipping through these various things. And it seems like the lead author, the most gifted of the trio, is Jürgen Etherstaff, the two other authors, the Archmage Adonis, and the Baron von Richthofen. Can Terminus roll me a knowledge history check?
I can. That is a 17.
17's pretty high, so he recognizes two of these names. The Baron von Richthofen is a minor nobleman who can be found in the duchy, and the Archmage Adonis is basically the power behind the throne of the Kingdom of Roth. So the kingdom the party finds itself in does have a king, but the real power lies with the Archmage, who for the last 80 years has basically controlled and shaped the political destiny of the kingdom. So whilst there is ostensibly there is a king, the king's power is basically null and void when he's got a subject who can click his fingers and summon meteorites from the sky over their capital city anytime he chose to. So, whilst there is a king, the Archmage is the true power in the kingdom. Now, if we'll direct our attention back to the roving camp, Doctor, I'll present a map to the party. Now, maybe through the magic of editing, we can show a higher res version of this map, but the party finds itself here at Cragspire Keep. The city of Eastwatch to the north is where their ultimate goal lies, where they wish to return Harald to his family. The black lines on the map denote roads. However, if they were to travel off-road, the party would take us potentially longer to get to their destination, but this is a map of the territory, and they find themselves here at Cragspire Keep, Eastwatch being up here. I leave it to the party to determine what they would like to do next.
Oh, so we have choices, right? So, I can't read the text, but is that blue water to the left?
Blue Waters is to the east.
East, yeah. Okay. Ooh.
So we can go north or we can go east.
Yeah. Can we find out more about these places which are on the direct route to Eastwatch? So the little town to the north, the town by the side of the blue water, and
this is the town of Torsbridge. Can Dagmar roll me a knowledge history check, please?
That is a 3.
A 3?
I might use my point of inspiration immediately to re-roll that one. Let's try again. That is a 4.
That's better.
Yeah.
That is an improvement.
So Dagmar has very rudimentary knowledge of the town of Torsbridge. He's never been there, but he knows roughly where it is, and that's about all he knows. Can I have Soldred roll me a survival check, please?
Soldier was going to say, we can go through the field and then go over the bridge and avoid everyone. Not field, forest, because that's a forest, right?
There is the Eastern Wilds to...
Yes.
Ooh.
What is to the east of the
That
party?
doesn't sound at all ominous.
A survival check, please, Soldred.
Survival. That's a 13.
A 13. Soldred
Oh,
reckons
17,
that-
sorry.
A 17, even better. Soldred is pretty confident that as a ranger, if the party was to travel off-road, he could lead them at a pretty breakneck pace. He knows that he's adept in the wilds, he can find a path through basically any wilderness. As a ranger, Soldred is pretty confident that he can beat a path through the wilderness no matter where the party chooses to go. Almost as quick as they could travel by road.
And that way we can avoid all that bullshit. We can go hang out in the nice forest and we can take the little bridge over to the main town.
Ooh.
And I'll take the wee boy on my back.
Oh.
Does Soldier not have a thing about having humans riding him?
Nope.
Cool.
Is anyone interacting with Harald? That's maybe a good point. So I'll use as we pan away from our map, we'll pan back towards our party on the roadside. We can see Harald in the blue up front. Is anyone interacting with the princeling Harald?
Well, shall we ask him where to go? Harald may know.
He's a teenager.
Who's speaking to Harald then, if you're asking him? I'm going to switch back to the static cam now, Doctor.
I mean, surely it'd be Dagmar.
Dagmar
Yeah,
seems like the
probably.
obvious one,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey up, my little lordling. How's that?
Immediately regretting that decision.
This is what you signed up for.
Yep, I knew that.
At the very least, Dagmar has settled on an accent, which is good. Can Dagmar roll me
Well, for now.
a persuasion check with advantage? So
Sure.
You are in effect Harald's bodyguard, so he knows who you are.
Yeah.
You never had great persuasion, mate.
19. I've got +2. I'm okay.
I meant you, the human being.
Oh, well, yeah, there's
Get
that.
fucked.
The sprite dishing out hard sass, however. However persuasive the dragon may be, Dagmar is, in this situation, very persuasive. So, immediately the kind of gangly form of Harald jumps up and he kind of punches Dagmar on the shoulder and immediately regrets it, recoils because Dagmar is heavily armoured. It's like, Dagmar, thank you for rescuing me. I don't know how long I could have survived down there with that horrible old man and he
Some
kind
fucker shooting me.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. With a natural roll of an 18, he looks a little bit nervously over at Talamanca. When I heard like a scaly whispering and like a reptilian noise, and then something really hurt my side. And though I couldn't see, I'm pretty sure that... He leans in closer to Dagmar. Did he do something to... No, forget it.
No, definitely not him. It's definitely fought on brass.
You gonna lie to the boy? Fucking Christ.
Roll a deception check.
Deception check. That's a 15.
A 15. With a natural roll of a 9, Harald seems to buy this, so he trusts
He's very
Dagmar.
impressionable.
He's quite impressionable. He's not very world-wise, and Dagmar is his like loyal kind of confidant and bodyguard. So he, of course, it would be wrong of me to accuse any of your companions, Sir Dagmar. Yes, of course. Now, if it was my decision, I would head directly north along my mother's road. It's well maintained. Her troops are there. We should head to the road immediately and take the fastest and most expeditious way back to Eastwatch. Of course, it's well protected. I can't see why we do anything else. And he beams at Dagmar. He's like visibly happy to be involved in the decision making. And you get the feeling that as the third son of the Duchess and as quite a young man, he doesn't get the chance to input to decision making very often. And he's excited that he's involved.
So
What does the party
But
think?
also, not a reliable decision does that make.
yeah.
We trust this
very
excitable child in directing us on our road back to Eastwatch. I say yes. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, do we have any reason to suspect it might not be safe along the road? Like, are we? Because I mean, we
Didn't you say the kingdom's slightly on the decaying side?
Can
Stagnant.
someone who is not Dagmar, because Dagmar already rolled a knowledge history check to find out what he knew about the surrounding area, and he rolled very low, so can someone who is not Dagmar roll me a knowledge history check? The party's choice.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I will be able to manage that, so...
It dangled on the one. It went 1, 17. So 17, thank you.
17 is an impressive knowledge history roll, so from this, you know, it's bizarre that Dagmar didn't point this out, given that he is a retainer of the Duchess, but the Duchess is very well liked, her borders are generally well defended, but the last few years, owing to the Duchess's advanced years, though she's now quite an elderly woman, her hold over the kingdom has started to slip a little bit. There's tensions with the neighbouring dwarven clans, her borders harbour some monsters now and brigands who have managed to kind of creep up. The roads are definitely not as well defended as Harald makes out, but of course he is convinced of his mother's invincibility.
And she's an elderly woman with a teenage son.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Harald is confused. Not Harald. Terminus is confused by the...
How do these flesh beings work?
Terminus will be the first to admit that human physiology is not his strong suit.
I will explain that as seems like there's fighting either way, lads.
With a knowledge roll of a 17, so Soldred would know this just from his knowledge of 17, and Dagmar knows this because he has met the Duchess personally. Duchess Katarina has elven blood in her.
Okay.
Fair. Well, lads, we can absolutely go through the woods. My fae folk, fae tingling, it'd be great. But we'll meet a few more innocent companies that we can tear apart and murder if we go on the main road. So hooray for
Road it
everything.
is.
Oh, okay, well, let's go north, and then we can always cut across to the woods if we need.
Yeah,
my
I
suggestion.
think that's a good plan. Follow
Okay.
the road to begin with.
Okay, so the party continues.
Yep.
The party's plan is to follow the roads. Are they planning to go marching up the road itself, or are they going to be in the shrubbery by the side? And could I determine a marching order? So who is leading the column if you're going up the roads, or are you skulking by the side, or are some of you skulking in the woods by the side of the road, or are some of you all going to be in the roads? How does the party want to proceed? But heading north along the roads.
I'm in no way forcing this, but I suspect the logical one would probably be have Soldred leading in a semi-scouting role.
Yeah.
I would
I'll
agree.
keep the boy entertained, being like, tell me about your mother's land. Have you been round
Yeah.
here? Yada yada, because I'm naturally good with children.
I say, but by the boy you mean Harald,
yes.
not the driver of Talamanca.
Talamanca can, scoot off and lizard around and scoot ahead, whatever he wants to do, lizard away.
I do like scooting.
Visiting.
But I propose we have Dagmar holding up the rear, making sure we're all...
Well, so Dagmar is going to be
sorted.
sticking very close to Harald at this point. He's, still feeling
Terminus
guilty.
and the Mech will be happy enough to do the rear guard, I think.
Okay. So, assuming that everyone is going to stay on the road, hopefully this is visible on the static cam. I'll switch to the roving cam just to get a better shot in a second. But we have at the head of the column, I imagine, if Soldred acquiesces, Harald is actually riding on Soldred, closely followed by Dagmar. And then we have Terminus and the Steel Defender bringing up the rear, with at the centre of the column, Talamanca.
Obvious question, but I assume Terminus doesn't have it. Soldier doesn't have any, stirrups or saddle or anything.
No. But in between my two rib cages is a natural seating position. We don't tend to advertise it, but children are allowed to use it, obviously.
I was really hoping you weren't going to address the centaurs have two rib cages.
Yeah, in between the two rib cages there's a nice nook you can sit in, but once you become a fully grown man, it's very uncomfortable.
The inter-rib nook.
Two ribs, mate, where the
What's he
spine
holding
bends
on to?
completely 90
Has
degrees.
he just got his arms around your chest?
Yeah, kind of, if he really wants. Mostly he's
Cool.
poking
trees. I wanted an image. I didn't need it to be a good one.
Have you ever seen the film Ghost?
Very good.
Yes.
So in the last session, a method of kind of backpacking with Harald kind of putting his arms around Soldred's human shoulders to kind of cling onto him, almost like he's riding... You ever seen two people ride on a motorcycle is how I'm picturing this working.
He has a proper nook. He can sit and self-support if he wants.
I will switch now to the roving cam just so we can get a shot. So at the front of the column, we now have Soldred and Harald, who'll be riding us back, followed by Dagmar, then Talamanca, and at the rear of the column we have the Doctor and Terminus and his new improved Mark II Steel Defender as they make their way up the road. Hopefully this comes across in the camera viewership, but we've invested quite a bit of time and effort trying to get our tech to look a little better so that make our camera setup more entertaining. So let us know in the comments, is this working for you? Should we invest a little bit more in this? Is there a noticeable difference in the quality of our camera work? We hope there is.
What we need to do is we need to invest in there not being a global pandemic and film this in person. So many of these problems so much easier, but...
Yes. In any case, can I have Soldred make me a persuasion check to interact with Harald, and then there'll be something that'll happen after that, but in the first instance, a persuasion check from Soldred.
That's a 21.
Harald is very animated. He's never actually met a centaur before, so he's fascinated by Soldred and where he came from, and he identifies Soldred as one of his rescuers. He seems like quite a pleasant young man, and as the day kind of draws on, as the sun starts to rise to high noon, Soldred and Harald actually strike up quite a bit of a friendship. They're chatting away. He's obviously very proud of his heritage. He seems to absolutely worship his mother, Duchess Katarina. But you get a really good impression, and you strike up quite a bond with Harald, which is good.
What does he advise that I wear to the party?
Oh... Harald kind of looks Soldred up and down. Well, typically male warriors would wear military uniforms of some kind, but I'm not sure if we could... And he seems like a little embarrassed. I'm not sure if we could have any of your size, Sir Soldred. I'm sure we could find
shield
something.
will do me just fine then. Sounds good.
I shall see to it that my mother's armory makes sure that we supply you with a good shield.
What is Soldred wearing anyway?
Basically nothing. That's why I played as a male centaur, because I couldn't be bothered with the boob covering question.
But allegedly, I think you're in either light or medium armor. So
I am in scale armor.
Okay.
I've made an acrobatics check for Harald, and he's an excellent rider, so he's been raised as a nobleman. He does not fall out of, not the saddle, but he doesn't fall off Soldred's back. He seems quite content to ride up there. Soldred, as you are leading the party, can you please roll me a survival check? So just to keep an eye on your surroundings, to make sure that you're going in the right direction. The road is pretty straight. It heads due north, and you know that it will eventually connect with the city of Eastwatch in several days.
I don't expect it matters, but I'm sticking quite close to the trees because obviously it's my natural predilection. That's a 19.
A 19 is an excellent survival roll. Soldred is very aware. He's able, with his bow and kind of javelins, to kind of kill some small game to restore the party's provisions as he goes along. Harald is delighted by the thrill of the hunt. But as the sun reaches kind of noon and the afternoon wears on, they've not met any other travellers on the roads, and the going is very swift. You've made excellent time. But as we get to the kind of later afternoon, I need anyone, to roll me a d10.
I reckon let's go for the comedy and have Talamanca do it.
Risky game.
Because I want this to either be a 1 or a 10, so that's what the man's there for.
Okay, well, here we are. It's a 7. It's none of those things.
That's surprisingly middling for you.
I know.
Good to know the option is there.
Interesting. Can I have Soldred, because Soldred's leading the party, and can I have one other character? Roll me a perception check.
Ooh, I've got quite good perception now.
I have some passive perception thing, don't I?
It would make sense for you to roll it as well, Dagmar, since you're up kind of front.
I got a 6.
I got a 15.
Dagmar's kind of whistling along. This is like being on campaign. Dagmar's a kind of soldier, kind of military sort of man, and like he's just happy to be out in the outdoors, which is why he fails completely to notice what Soldred notices. Soldred, at a great height and a considerable distance ahead, there is a large object, a large grey object of roughly cuboid or kind of rectangular shape, which is descending rapidly from the clouds, but which is rocketing towards the road directly in front of the party.
It's the Borg.
It's difficult to judge exactly how big this thing is, but it's at least the size of a building, and it is rapidly descending from the clouds above the party's head, seemingly to almost directly in front of them.
All right. Obviously, I'm going to stop walking, hand up. Dagmar, presumably you might see me.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be like pointing to that.
Okay.
And I probably won't say anything because I'm just like I don't even have words for what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm guessing Dagmar looks up at this point. It's like, take cover, lads.
If it's pointed out to him, Dagmar notices it.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
What action from the party?
Well, I think we need to get off the road.
Yeah, get off the road, quick!
Yeah.
Take cover.
Let's go to hide beneath the tree.
If the party intends to secrete themselves, I will need them to make stealth checks. Everyone with a stealth check.
Well, I'm not so much thinking
no.
secrete, but sort of like get under. Is there any like rocks that we could sort of hide behind in case this thing comes,
Yeah, it's like that
crashing
scene with
down?
those birds from Saruman in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So if you direct your attention to the static cam, you'll see that the road is pretty much like this. There are kind of low walls, fields, bits of rubble on either side of the road. There's also a tree line to the one side, which hopefully is visible. There we go, on the static cam. So the party could easily like secrete themselves between some of the rubble, the low wall, jump into the trees, the bushes. There are ways to kind of get off the road.
Which is the strongest looking tree near me.
That would be, hopefully I'm visible on the static cam, this one.
Excellent. I'm going to go straight to that and put the boy, like, encourage him off my back. Harald? I'm going to encourage Harald off my back. And as much shaded in the tree as possible. So whatever is about to hit us is going to take the sturdiest hit on the tree.
Brilliant. Can Soldred make me an athletics check or an acrobatics check, whichever is highest?
And that is 15.
Oh wow, like a dressage horse, he kind of rears up and whinnies and gracefully leaps into the hedge, kind of secreting himself, putting Harold, I imagine Harold's like beneath his front equine legs, so like there's a whole horse body between Harald and whatever might come from above, but Soldred able to just kind of jump into the hedge and hide himself, ready for whatever may come. Talamanca, what's Talamanca doing?
Talamanca's going to follow suit and also jump over the wall and into the tree line as well, I think.
On the same side as Soldred?
On the same side, on the tree line side.
Okay.
I believe.
Roll me a stealth check, please, Talamanca.
A stealth check. That is a 12.
A 12. Interesting. With a 12, Talamanca kind of rolls around in the leaves and he kind of smears some mud and stuff on himself. And he's like, oh yes, he's never been this stealthy. As he kind of looks out, he hears a strange voice in the back of his mind, something that reminds him uncomfortably of the cold, clammy sensation that he experienced in the vaults of Fortinbras's dungeon. A cloying, nascent presence at the back of his mind that whispers, your tail is sticking out. And Talamanca notices his tail is indeed not secreted yet again amongst the foliage. What is Terminus going to do?
I mean, I guess, go for some undergrowth with the defender as well. Just try and kind of get into tunnel under a bit of like undergrowth. Not actually tunnel, because that would be absurd.
On the same side?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, roll me a stealth check. I believe Terminus is Terminus in heavy armor?
Medium, so yeah, disadvantage. So that is an 8.
An 8. Not very stealthy as Terminus clang, clang, clunk, clunk. Walks just into the woods and then just powers down a little bit. Like, pretty easily visible. And finally, Dagmar, the last of the party, like he kind of looks around and everyone has vanished off into the trees. What's Dagmar going to do?
I think he's going to dive in as well, but he's going to try and like position himself between Harald and where this thing is apparently coming in.
Okay. Hopefully this is visible on the static cam. But what I might do is pull some of this nonsense off and bring the static cam just a little bit closer. No, it's not going to work. That's not going to work from my vantage point. But I'll use.
It looks okay.
It looks fine. We can see it great.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'll use the roving cam then. As the party kind of strung out by the sides in the foliage. Terminus and Harald. Dagmar a little bit closer to the roadside. Oh, Dagmar has fallen! And then bring up the rear of the party. We have the
That's
Steel
accurate to
Defender.
his stealth level.
Bring up the rear. We have the Steel Defender, Terminus, and Talamanca.
Alongside the thing falling from the sky, a giant camera comes down and bonks Talamanca in the face.
Yeah, can we get this from the ship, the cube's point of view? Like,
We absolutely can. If you just give me a second while I unplug the static cam. There we go. And from the cube's point of view, coming down, descending on the road, it would go like.
oh no! Okay.
I really hope
that was the end of Dagmar.
Wonderful. Now, as the party secretes itself, or does its best to secrete itself by the side, there is a horrible crash as a 45-foot tall stone tower thuds resoundingly into the earth in the center of the road. Like so.
Wow.
A gigantic stone tower has just thudded into the earth. Can everyone make me a strength saving throw, please? As it just strikes the earth, there's a tremor that comes through. Like small trees fall down, birds are like shot up into the sky, animals start bolting from the tree line out deeper into the forest on one side.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, that was.
I don't know how I saw this journey going in my head, but it wasn't like this.
Yeah,
No, really not. Falling tower.
That's a 3 from me.
With an over 3, Terminus is knocked onto his back, taking 2 points of bludgeoning damage as he's just slammed by the earth tremor onto his back. Like some rocks and bits of branches rain down on him. Terminus takes a bit of a hit.
I'm assuming, by the way, throughout the session that you will say if you want me to do stuff separately, either health or checks or anything for the defender.
Yes, I shall.
If you don't overtly say that, I'm just going to do it all for Terminus.
I got a nat 1 with a +4, which is a 5.
The nat one.
Then I mean, yeah, I don't know if that one's count for saving throws necessarily.
A natural one is generally always a failure, unfortunately. So, Soldier is able to pitch to one side. He manages not to fall on Harald, but even still, like he kind of rolls to one side. His legs kick out. He takes 4 points of bludgeoning damage as his kind of equine legs feel the tremor, and his hooves can't keep him aloft. What's Dagmar on?
That's a 21 from Dagmar.
A 21 for Dagmar. Even as the trees kind of like capsize and fall around him, Dagmar is able to stand firm. Pull some trees off the static cam. Dagmar takes no damage, retains his feet. And finally, Talamanca.
That was a 6 from Talamanca.
Oh dear. Talamanca, like his spindly lizard legs kind of giving way beneath him as he kind of shakes from one side to the other. Slammed onto his back, his organs within him. He takes 6 points of bludgeoning damage as he strikes the earth. And again, that kind of strange, cold feeling, nascent consciousness in the back of his mind. Try to stay on your feet.
I don't like
You
how
enjoyed that
sarcastic
too
these
much.
whispers are. These dark, arcane whispers are. That's like my feelings.
The way I imagine this voice come across is like a really cold, creepy Cortana from Halo. So like,
I'm basically imagining Venom, like Eddie.
So I'll switch now back to our roving cam, just so the party has some perspective. The huge tower slamming down, thusly, with the party clustered around it in the woods by the side of the road. Like so. And with that, we'll switch back to static cam.
I don't know what is the correct reaction to like an entire tower.
Yeah, no idea.
Check the bottom of it for witches' feet.
Yes. Good.
Well, I mean, yeah, is there? I mean, partly I'm asking this because I can see it very clearly on the static camera. But is there an obvious, like door or entry port or something?
Can Terminus roll me a perception check?
That's a 17.
A 17. There is. So there is quite a strange and curious door. So it seems to be made of solid iron, and it's set on the static cam, as you can be seen. So Terminus is able to pinpoint it, peering through the underbrush. So there's an imposing iron door set with bolts as large as a man's fist. Strung across the door are dozens of lengths of long chain overlapping one another again and again. The air near this tower, especially near the door itself, is close, and as you look towards it, the air between you and the tower seems to shimmer, then elongate, then shorten. It looks as though Terminus is like, suddenly it's a huge valley, then suddenly it's just a couple of feet to the tower. As Terminus kind of looks on it, it's shimmering like a mirage. Clearly, this is some magic. In fact, you spot icicles and frost crystals being able to crystallize on the ground between you and the door. And because Terminus rolled particularly high, the longer you look at the great lengths of chain that are lashed across the iron door to the tower, you're convinced that they form a steely, cantankerous face, a grim metal visage of heavy links that glowers at you as you gaze on it.
I say we go around. That's a door that don't want to be open.
Yeah, like I'm wondering how much we just have the option, just like, well, let's ignore this bullshit and
Ta-ra.
go on the road.
As Terminus claps sight of it,
This is nonsense above our pay grade.
because this is a strange thing to say. You only get to say in Dungeons and Dragons because the tower rolled a natural 20 for its perception check. Like the face will kind of strain. It's difficult for it. It can't turn its head because it's a face of chains that's set into the door. And it kind of tries to move towards the party, but can't.
But it's like an animated head. It's not
It's
just
an animated head, and it certainly is animated as it calls out, "Here, you skulking in the bushes! I am Metal Man, and you scaly boy. Don't think I can't see you."
I'm gonna cast detect good and evil. Like, yeah, I kind
Detect nonsense.
detect. No, exactly. My nonsense senses are tingling. Yeah. So as an action, you can detect good and evil.
While you're doing that, I'm going to look for witch's feet at the bottom.
I'm getting my bomb ready.
Okay, so Terminus
This is exactly the time to deploy the bomb, I think.
Yeah.
Terminus readies his bomb. Dagmar can cast Detect Good and Evil. He can detect no clear sources of good or evil within 30 feet of him. So whatever this thing is, it's not evil per se.
So not celestial, fiend, or undead.
It's not a celestial, a fiend, or an undead.
Okay.
How does the team feel about casting Friend on the Iron Man?
No!
The
Why am I
Metal Man?
surrounded by morons? Now, back to searching for those
Absolutely do it.
witch's feet.
Roll me a perception check, please, Soldier.
17.
17. Exactly the same as Terminus, but because you've had a bit more time to study it, there are definitely no witch's feet extending from this tower. But you
Boo.
notice that like the line of kind of ice crystals and the icicles that are beginning to form only seem to emanate in a 20-foot cone as you approach the door itself. So the rest of the landscape around it is cracked by the impact of the tower striking it, but it doesn't seem to be cold. Whereas the area directly in front of the door seems to be enchanted such that the distances warp, it seems to be icy, there's black ice forming, icicles are forming in midair and shattering on the ground.
No
It's gotten
sparkly or ruby or silver shoes hanging about the place.
No, the Wicked Witch of the East has not been crushed underneath the tower.
I was trying this whole time to work out what you meant by witch's feet, like whether it's like a crow's foot or something like that, or like it's some kind of structural thing. You literally meant the foot of witches.
With sparkly shoes
Should've
on
seen
them,
that coming.
depending on the book or the film.
I really, really like that reference though, Sprout. So I'll award Soldier the point of inspiration.
Right.
You
I feel
there,
her to-
you there, dwarf! The chained mouth will come out. I can just see it at the corner of my eye. I've seen better beards than 13-year-old girls. Can I have Dagmar roll me a charisma saving throw?
Ooh. Is he just gonna insult us to death? Let's see. That's a 17 from Dagmar.
Dagmar's like, oh, that actually stung a little bit, but he masters himself. He's like, nope, nope, nope. As the vicious mockery spell does not take effect.
Right, this prick's getting a bomb to the mouth. Absolutely.
He's just a sassy Scotsman, it's fine.
Yeah. And I'm a confused robot with a large bomb we picked up last
Are
time.
you confused, angry, and armed?
And I'm going to,
Well,
I'm
hold,
going.
hold fire there,
Yeah.
Doctor. I want to see if there's any other ways into this tower. Can I look for any other access points, DM?
Roll me an investigation check.
Investigation check. I can.
While he's rolling this, was this inspired by Labyrinth?
That is a nat 1.
Oh my god!
Here we go.
It starts. It starts.
Here we go.
It's worth noting that for maybe those who haven't watched our earlier videos, although we recommend go back in the channel and watch our earlier D&D videos because they're really good, or at least we think so. But Talamanca's rolling in Dungeons & Dragons is a statistical anomaly the likes of which we have never seen.
Baffling.
With an over natural one, Talamanca looks up. He's pretty sure that there's a large crack about halfway up the tower that he reckons he could, if he could scale up to it, maybe like 20 or 30 feet up, he could fit through that crack.
Well, I think it'd be rude not to. You guys hold on fire. I'm gonna go and get up to this crack and see if I can get inside the metal man.
In the spirit of the Nat 1, I think Terminus has not noticed this is going on and is going to start preparing the bomb.
Okay, I'll angle the tower. So the tower hasn't actually moved. I'm just going to angle it slightly for the sake of the camera. So there is Talamanca beginning to scale up the side of the tower. Terminus behind him beginning to ready the bomb.
I think I'd be a bit more towards the camera and like the actual door side of it.
Yeah. So it's the door facing us, presumably.
The door's yelled at me, so as well as Dagmar. So the bomb has, I assume, obviously like a fuse.
Yes.
Cool. Then, if anyone other than the boy who's then Talamanca, who's off Terminus's radar at the moment, unless anyone else objects, then Terminus can use Firebolt to light this thing and just yeet it at the thing. Like this is nonsense above Terminus's pay grade. He is not aware of a lizard climbing the wall, so.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to try to dissuade him just based off principle, quite frankly.
You can try it.
What's the argument you're making?
Why are you going to bomb it? It's just insulted us. It's not the end of the world. It's clearly magical. Bombing it could just mean the explosion centered straight back at us. Don't be a moron.
Obstacle detected. Obstacles must be cleared.
You can go round
Must
it.
deliver Duchess son to home.
We can walk around it.
Primary directive: deal with nonsense in path.
No, that is not a
Okay.
primary directive. That is completely
Primary
surplus.
directive given by Duchess's son: deliver Duchess home without nonsense.
Okay. As
Harald, please stop him from blowing this up. It could kill us all.
with a charisma check of a 19, Harald's like assesses the situation. He's like, he kind of looks. Honestly, Sir Soldier, I kind of want to see what will happen.
I'm stepping back from this nonsense. You all want to blow this shit up? I'm
Yes, step the fuck back, absolutely. Like, definitely do that. Apart from you, Lizard.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Player to player, don't waste the fucking bomb. There will be better opportunities. We're going to a city.
Waste the bomb.
Yeah.
City!
Dagmar,
Grease
Cities
the
may
door.
contain more. Cities may contain more bombs.
Grease the door.
Dagmar is able to make his way back, soldiered
Greasy
with
door.
Harald in tow, also realizing that Terminus will not be dissuaded from using the bomb, also backs off. Can I have Talamanca roll me an acrobatics check?
Can.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's going to end badly.
And can I have Terminus make me an arcana check or an attack roll?
That's a 10 on the acrobatics check.
That's a 23 on the Arcana check.
Okay.
Please.
So Terminus is like, he's aware of black powder. We've discussed that Terminus is knowledgeable with black powder before, so he knows that like there's something going on with this door. He's able to kick the barrel into position, and then as he raises his staff, he just fires a bolt of fire right into the side of it. There is a colossal explosion, so like a fireball that erupts. Doctor, could you roll me, please? Let me get this right. 8d6 fire damage to see how much damage this fireball does as it just erupts.
Oh.
As
That
the
would
barrel of
be...
gunpowder detonates.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of d6. That would be 30.
30 points of damage. Hopefully visible on
Oh,
the static cam.
Nice.
We have an explosion. As it ignites, halfway up the tower shakes and rumbles from side to side, and with an acrobatics check of a lowly 10, unfortunately, halfway up the side of the tower, Talamanca is dislodged. He falls 10 feet, taking 2 points of bludgeoning damage, but is crucially not caught in the explosion due to Terminus's expert placement of the bomb. The Talamanca falls prone by the side of the tower. The tower rocks. I wonder if we can demonstrate this in the static cam. Rocks from one side to the other.
Oh, very nice.
And with the smoke and dust clears, the chains lie scattered and broken. The frost that was crystallizing around the entrance seems to have dissipated, and there is no sign of the cantankerous, Scottish-accented figure that once occupied the iron door.
Talk
Yet he's
about
clearly
fucking
still running the game.
killing fucking innocent NPCs. The Donkey Trading Company were less innocent than that fucking chain door.
They were friendly to us. They gave us whiskey. This guy's just been taking the piss from a distance.
I know which one I'd prefer. Taking the piss.
I know which one I prefer. And here we
Bludgeoned
are.
me, and then he insulted my colleague. Deserved
He
a bomb to the
insulted my
face.
beard.
Exactly.
Take it very personally.
Dagmar has a fine beard, and Terminus would stand for it.
I love the very low bar set by the party is to like what's a friend and what's a foe is have they insulted our beards and or given us whiskey.
Basically, if the answer to either of those questions is yes, then
Basically, have they spoken to us? Then we better kill them.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know. You've not got a goddamn leg to stand on here, Soltred.
I didn't start that fucking fight.
You literally started that fight. You fired the first shot.
Talamanca started the fight.
No, I didn't.
No, he just fell over, and then you were
Fell
like,
over and knocked all this shit.
Then
and
you're
they
like,
all
"Who's
went,
your deal with?"
Well,
Draws
and I was
bow.
like, draw bow. I was prepared.
In any case, arguments as to who started it and who didn't start it aside, what would the party like to do next? So the door is seemingly sundered and broken. So if you've seen the kind of doors in Fallout, the ones that are kind of like half broken and like clearly you could put your arm clean through this, the iron is kind of like half melted and blasted to pieces. There's no sign of the spectral figure or the magic that seemed to sustain the door.
What's in the tower? What's in the tower? What's in the tower?
Yeah, Terminus will go and have a look.
Do you want to send the Steel Defender in first?
Yes, let's send the Steel Defender in, actually, to go probe the door a bit and go inside the tower itself and see what happens.
Good.
Will it?
So, so the specific instruction I'm giving the Defender is go in past the door, open the door as much as it can be open, like shove it in if it needs to be, have a little scope around inside, and report back.
Okay, so you wanted to like scout in and come back out. Okay.
Yep.
Um,
And then...
Brilliant. Can you roll me in the first instance? Is the Steel Defender trying to move stealthily, or is it just clanking in and clanking out? Or is it just going in bold as brass?
I think bold as brass, let's be honest.
Okay, in that case then, roll me an athletics check.
I think they probably know we're here at this point.
So, athletics has quite a lot to, actually. That is... Oh, I've got to actually add stuff up in my head. That is a 15, because it's 9 on the dice. 15 athletics.
Okay, the Steel Defender is able to easily stride up and with a boom, 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 boom with its metal legs, just clang, clang, smash the remnants of the iron door side. It vanishes up. It's gone for maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, and then clang, 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 clang. It reappears at the bottom. Good.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'm going to motion to... Well, I'm going to motion to Dagmar to come in. At this point, Terminus will notice the prone lizard on the floor and be like, do your balance servos require adjustment?
Yes.
No sassy comments from the internal monologue.
Not on this occasion. The internal monologue for now has fallen silent.
Probably knocked
Signal the
senseless.
others to come over.
Yeah, I was going to say, my ears are ringing too loud to hear any whispers.
Welcome back, viewership of the infamous gentleman. I, of course, am the Bard, and I am joined by the Dragon, the Boy, the Sprite, and the Doctor, all of us here to deliver the next thrilling installment of infamous Dungeons and Dragons. When last we left our party, they had just blasted the door off of a strange tower which had fallen from the sky. And even though their Steel Defender, the construct made by Terminus, had explored the interior and reported back, good, the way forward remains uncertain. What will the party do next? Over to our players.
So I've motioned you guys over, so...
Yeah. Well, Dagmar's got his dark vision, so he might have like a little like peek inside.
Okay,
and then...
can Dagmar roll me a perception check then?
Yes.
I'll just cluster everyone's models around the base of the tower.
I'm assuming we're not taking Harald into the
I assume that was a
spooky
discussion
tower.
we were going to have of do we want to set someone outside with Harald?
Yeah. I think that's probably sensible. Well, so I got a 10, so I've no idea what's going on, basically.
Dagmar kind of stares into the tower, and it's obvious at first, so the interior is lit by a series of hourglasses, which are set high into the walls, and the hourglasses kind of glow with a strange green sand. So they're kind of like an iridescent green light, these hourglasses that are positioned inside. However, it's obvious that a spiral staircase extends upwards into the tower, so he can't see beyond the bends of a spiral staircase, nor with that roll can he hear anything.
Okay, I'm going to also investigate with my lizard perception.
Okay, roll me a perception check then, please, Talmanka.
That was a 21, please.
Oh, nice.
A 21 is a very high perception. Again, Talmanka, either rolling a 1 or super high.
It's mad. It's mad.
But with a 21, his keen lizard ears, because that's how we describe all of Talamanka's actions. He kind of cock his ears to one side and kind of put his head into. It's not that like he can hear anything in particular; it's the absence of what he hears. So like this kind of silence that he puts in is somehow pregnant with dread. So like it's almost like it shouldn't be this quiet. Obviously, like he reckons there's something in here, and it's trying to keep itself quiet. Something has concealed itself. There should be a drip of water. There should be the scurrying of rodents, but there is absolute dead silence, as though something is actively trying to keep itself hidden and quiet in the tower.
But the Defender said it was okay. Does not compute.
Well, I still think we go in.
Why not?
I mean, there's got to be exciting things at the end of the magic tower that just came from the sky.
Alright,
Especially now we killed it.
Well, exactly.
Terminus will remain outside. Execute primary directive.
I can't climb the stairs, so I should stay with the boy. As in Harald.
Dagmar.
Yep, in
You
we go
in?
then. Yeah.
Just for clarity's sake, Soldier could fit through the door. It would be a squeeze, but he could fit, and he wouldn't. If he tried to fight on the spiral staircase, he wouldn't be at his top of his game, but he could fit.
Well, I think I'll, Update designation Defender Mark II will remain to execute primary directive with Soul Dread. Terminus will enter tower.
Very well. Soldier, take a point of inspiration, because I absolutely believe that Soldred, given his, like he saw with children, this whole message here was to rescue Harald, and they seem to have struck up a friendship. I believe that Soldred wouldn't leave Harald undefended, even though it's obviously more interesting for the sprites to go into the tower. So have a point of inspiration, I like that.
Thank you.
How are the remainder of the party? So how are Dagmar, Talamanca, and Terminus proceeding into the tower?
Well, given that I'm a bit suspicious of this tower,
Have you told anyone that you...
Yeah, well, I'll tell everyone else that it's too quiet. Far too quiet. So I suggest we proceed with caution and with stealth.
As Talamanca expresses this rasping in his kind of like throaty lizard voice, he hears at the back of his own mind the kind of cloying, damp, cold presence in his mind. That's the first thing you've said, right?
Is that good or bad? I don't know. Do we want to agree with the spooky voice?
I want to steal Defender in my mind to say good or bad.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so...
Terminus will definitely stealth protocol engaged.
Okay.
But you are aware that his stealth protocol may not have installed properly, so...
Yeah, likewise with Dagmar. But we can, yeah, so... Talamanca heading up the front.
I'll take point, yeah.
Yeah.
With a stealth roll of 22.
Good gracious, very high stealth roll.
Plus 6 on stealth, which is very helpful.
I have plus
Okay,
5,
so
but I'm never allowed to use it because the doctor's convinced I can't be stealthy because I have hooves. Ableist.
What, me? No.
We'll soon find out if Soldier can be stealthy, but as the kind of party makes its way up, so there's quite a bit of noise made by the clanking armoured feet of both Terminus and Dagmar, but ahead of them, moving much, much more stealthily, Talamanca kind of lizards his way, slinks up like a serpent, almost like, you seen a slinky go down a set of stairs? He's like a reverse lizardy slinky going up the stairs.
That's your best description so far today.
Thank you, Dagmar. In any case, he finds his way up to the top of a spiral staircase, so he realizes that after about 20 seconds, he should be at the top of this staircase. After 30 seconds, the staircase should have reached the top of the tower by now. After a whole minute of ascending very, very stealthily, this staircase is much, much longer and taller than the dimensions of the tower would suggest. The tower is demonstrably bigger on the inside than it seems from the outside. So he's able to kind of sneak his way to the top. Suddenly, without warning, as a high arch opens out onto a large chamber. An impossibly large chamber given the dimensions of the tower. Tables, towering bookcases, alchemical equipment, and great mounds of parchment all vie for attention in this kind of laboratory space, this large room. Can Terminus roll me a can Talamanca roll me a perception check?
Yes. That was a 18.
Through the gloom, you spot a huge hourglass in the centre of the room, at least 30 feet tall. Beautiful grains of multicoloured sand flow at a dizzying hue of colour from the bottom of the hourglass to the top. So from bottom to top, not the conventional way an hourglass would fall. The room is crowded, but laid out with almost obsessive precision. Every piece of paper aligns perfectly with the one above and below. Every single one of the intimidating arcane books is ordered and catalogued to precision. However, with a very high roll, you see that just to one side of the door, clearly lurking in some kind of ambush, there is a figure. Though his features are youthful, the man is tall and sprightly. He sports a long, flowing grey beard and a close-cropped shock of silver hair. Moreover, in a harness across his chest, there is an infant child strung across this man's chest. This kind of long beard nestling around the infant's head. He's hovering 10 feet in the air, and there are 5 silver stars which hover like almost in an orbit around him as he kind of points his hands towards the door. He gives no indication he has noticed Talamanca.
None of that description was wholesome.
Yeah. Oh.
That was excellent. Okay, well, are the others anywhere near yet?
Absolutely not.
No, fine. Okay.
I'll assume that you're aware of them coming up the stairs behind you, but there's maybe like 20 or 30 feet back down the spiral staircase towards the ground floor of the tower.
Well, in that case, I'm going to try and flank this person whilst remaining hidden until he gets distracted by the clanking of Terminus ascending the stairs.
I will. As a bit of a reminder at this point, one of the baffling new features you have to Talamanca is that you can speak to people telepathically.
That is true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Just throwing that out there as a first time you're doing stuff separately on your own.
How do I do that? It's a good question.
Think really loudly.
You have to be able to see someone. As a bonus action, choose a creature you can see within 30 foot. You and the chosen creature can speak telepathically while you are within 2 miles of each other for the next minute.
Oh yes, okay.
So,
Fine. So,
well, perhaps we should, in the future, we could remember to maybe set that up before you do something, but... So we're still, I think, clanking up behind you.
Yep, and
Talamanca
Talamanca wants to...
on you, yeah.
And Talamanca wants to position himself in this kind of strange room near the figure.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, roll me you've already rolled a very high stealth check, Talamanca, but roll me a second one with advantage, because you're already hidden from this person.
Okay. That was a natural 20.
Oh, wow. Wow.
How do you do this?
So even though he's hovering 10 feet up in the air, Talamanca dodges from one pile of bookcases to the other. Like, he wraps like some paper around himself to kind of mask his progress across the room. Until like, he ascends one of the bookcases until, like, if he wanted to, he's leaning very close to this man. Even though he's 10 feet in the air, perched on a bookcase, Talamanca could lean in and lick this man's ear if he wanted to. And in fact, as he kind of leans in, he just touches him gently. The man doesn't even notice.
Lick him in the ear.
What do I need to roll for that?
Lick the baby in the ear.
Cloying voice in the back of Talamanca's mind, again, the kind of strange passenger presence in the back of his brain, back of his reptilian brain, whispers to him, "You may yet have some potential."
Spooky.
What are Terminus and Dagmar doing?
Proceeding up the tower in what Terminus believes to be a stealthy fashion.
Yeah, likewise. I'll roll a stealth check to determine how stealthy that actually is.
Yeah, me too, I think.
So that was a natural 1 with disadvantage as well.
That was a 6 from me. With disadvantage.
Terminus isn't moving stealthily. He's clanging, and like little bits of gears kind of fall to one side and ding, ding, ding go down the stairs. Dagmar falls flat. So like he stumbles forward, there's like a loud clang. The litany of which just rings off the stonework. And from further ahead in the tunnel, and you can identify the source of this voice, Talamanca, the wizardly figure in the kind of long flowing robes with the beard and the infant baby strapped to his chest. "All right, clearly I know you're there. Clearly you know I am here now. Identify yourself, and what is your purpose in my tower?"
Unit designation, Terminus. Purpose of tower. Purpose in tower not identified. What is purpose of tower in road of Terminus violating Prime Directive?
What in... Oh, Jesus, it's a warforged. Ah, by Pelor's sainted beard! And like you can see the figure in front of you, Talamanca, like he throws his hands to one side, and one of the stars streaks across the room and explodes in a kind of like huge crescendo of silver energy against the far wall. Not a goddamn warforged. He sighs heavily. "All right then, Terminus. Clearly no one wants to get more involved in this than they have to. Why don't you and your friend, and I can hear your friend,
No, you can't.
turn around and walk slowly back down the stairs before this gets ugly?"
Tell us who you are.
"But of course, my dear man, I am Albert Fitzwilhelm Darcy III, and you are trespassing on what is my property. I only assume that you have damaged my door."
I mean, to be fair, we can't argue with him there, right? We literally
Counterpoint.
bombed the door of his house.
Counterpoint. Property has damaged road.
An unfortunate side effect of my flying fortress, and its ability to land whenever I so choose. If you are in such a position to invade, you are in such a position to retreat. I urge you to do so.
You nearly killed us, you fool. What do you think you're playing at? Flying around towers around here?
Roll me an intimidation check, Dagmar.
That was a 6.
Oh my god, you
I'm
only
just
rolled
having
6s
such a bad
this
day.
session. Jesus.
Such a bad day.
Oh dear. Do you have any inspiration you want to use, or are we standing on 6?
No, yeah, I don't have any inspiration left. That's it.
We're boned.
Yeah.
Very well then. Consider this your final warning. And only visible to Talamanca, he kind of raises his hands and snaps one finger, and 1 star, so there are now 4 remaining that orbit around the top of his head. One of the stars will zoom, rocket its way down the staircase towards Dagmar and Terminus. Any action from Talamanca, because he's the only one who's realised the situation has changed.
That's maybe too mean. No, I should.
Go on.
Probably not a sensible idea either. I'm having a bit of a debate about my newfound skills.
Whilst Talamanca is deciding on a course of action, can I have Dagmar and Terminus roll me perception checks?
Okey-doke.
That's an 11 from Terminus.
And a 13 from Dagmar.
It's not high DC, you have the very distinct sensation that the tower is trembling.
Oh, good.
With a 13 from Dagmar, you have that sensation that, like, Dagmar can't quite place, but which all of our modern players will identify as, you know, that way you were in an elevator and the elevator is going up. Dagmar feels that the world is kind of dropping in the kind of pit of his stomach.
Ah.
Would now be a opportune time to do a history check to try and figure out if I know who this, like, recognize who this person is?
You certainly can. Roll me a history check.
6.
That's 17.
There we go.
A 17, so, like, you're not aware of this individual, but, like, you're aware of the Darcy family. So, like,
Okay.
Darcy Fitzwilhelm III. Like, that's a name that, like, rings a bell. So you think he's a kind of a line of minor nobles who exist within the duchy. But from your knowledge, Darcy Fitzwilhelm III should be about 80 years old.
Ooh.
How old's this dude? Well, actually, we don't know that. so
Well, yeah,
never
we've
mind
not
that.
seen
Yeah.
him.
You don't know, but Talamanca, having seen him up close, whilst he does have a long flowing beard and he looks kind of spindly, like, he doesn't have wrinkles, he's like a very youthful looking man, it's just that he also has a long flowing beard.
Okay. In any case, I cast dissonant whispers on this gentleman whilst loitering right next to him.
You could just do normal whisper.
I could just do a regular whisper. Well, it's the same effect, but I feel like that wouldn't have the same. Oh, actually, what does this do? No, yeah, so I'll cast dissonant whispers on this.
What does Dissonant Whispers do?
So-
Brandon Talamanca.
You whisper a discordant melody that only one creature of your choice within range can hear, racking it with terrible pain. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. A failed save, it takes 3d6 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction, if available, to move as far as its speed allows away from you.
Ooh, good call. That's actually. Yeah.
With a natural roll of a 1, the Dissonant Whisper is like, as Talamanca kind of whispers literally right into this man's ear. It's like, it's not his own voice that comes out of his mouth, it's this horrible, cloying, damp voice that he hears in the back of his mind. He's like, "Run, little man, run back into the corner." And immediately, Darcy, like, you can see that his breeches and the robes around his nethers begin to, like, darken. It's like he has clearly just wet himself. It's like the baby begins howling across this, and the kind of stars around him kind of flits and they blink wildly as he sprints into the corner of the room. Can I have... Is the party intending to press their advantage, or are they withdrawing from the tower?
That's a good question.
You wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know what the elevator feeling was.
No, we wouldn't.
I
was just
No.
wondering even before that whether Terminus would have thought maybe we should withdraw, but...
Yeah.
Will we, how much
likewise,
will we have potentially noticed of what's just happened now? Will we have heard him legging it around there or something?
You can hear sounds of movement and confusion from above, and you certainly know the tower is trembling. So whilst your characters don't quite know that you're moving in an upwards direction, they know that something is happening with the tower. The tower is moving or trembling, or something is happening with the tower.
Also, you know that I've gone up the stairs and have yet to come back.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah, but
what-
that could
yeah.
be bad as well as good.
Yeah.
I think we'll hop up, at least Terminus would hop up, not with the intention necessarily of, like, press advantage and let's kill the man, but...
Yeah.
But save
Let's-
Talamanca,
Yeah,
maybe?
exactly.
I think honestly save Talamanca is going to be high on the list because of
Yeah.
Talamanca's particular prowess for this kind of thing in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, as Terminus kind of steps 2 or 3 steps up, he's met face to face with a whirling star, like a kind of glowing ball of energy that kind of shimmers as it rounds the corner of the spiral staircase. It collides with him. Can Terminus roll me a Constitution saving throw?
That is a 23.
Boys.
A 23 is a damn good roll.
If there's one thing Warforged can do, it's Constitution.
Terminus takes only 9 points of radiant damage as the star slams into him and bursts, like spraying kind of like silver energy and glitter, like little bits of kind of like arcane shrapnel across the walls. He staggers back a step or two, taking 9 points of radiant damage. Terminus is able to kind of stride up the last kind of 20 or 30 feet into the room, clearly identifying Talamanca hanging off one side of the bookcase, and this kind of strange wizardly figure in the long flowing red robes sprinting to the back of the room.
I think this man can help us.
He's either Terminus or Dagmar's move here.
Yeah. Dagmar, you're up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we should do. I'm also slightly nervous about the idea of, like, attacking a man who has a baby strapped to his chest.
I think you also don't know what's happening, right, Dagmar?
I mean, he's presumably seen me take a star to the mouth, but
Yeah,
beyond
that's true.
that...
I think, so I'll presumably, like, come careening up the stairs as well and, like, run into the room as well, at the very least.
Okay, as the party assembles, still theatre of the mind, because I don't have a grid prepared with a giant hourglass and a baby was strapped to a wizard's chest. The party kind of makes its way to the top of the staircase. Just as this man reaches it to the corner with his soiled breeches, the star still orbiting around him, he'll turn around, look at the three of you. Well, the two of you who have just burst into his chamber, not yet aware of Talamanca's presence. He'll look over at you. All right, and the star's going to raise a little bit higher. What now, then?
We're just gonna have a little standoff.
Well, we can use this guy. He can TARDIS us right the way across to Eastwatch, right?
Yeah, that's
It's an
true.
option. It's I realised about 5 minutes ago that that's what the boy might have been thinking.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
I think this man can help us.
Yeah.
But we need someone persuasive to try.
I'm persuasive. I've got training in
Yeah.
persuasion.
Ooh.
Bafflingly.
Also, you
Yeah.
realise you've left me and the person you need to get back to the castle outside.
Landed it once, he can land it again, and we don't know that he's even lifted off or anything like that. But you can just hop in the
Yes.
bottom of the tower, no problem.
From a soldier's perspective, like the tower is now, I'm looking at it, it kind of uproots itself, and like kind of bits of loose rock and stone begin to fall out of the side of the tower. But the tower is now a good 10 feet in the air. Soldred can react to that however he would.
I would absolutely shout to be like, it's levitating, but I'm assuming no one can hear me through the stonework.
Oh, definitely not. But Soldier's aware the tower is now 10 feet in the air.
I'm gonna take a good healthy step back so if it drops and explodes, we're not gonna get killed in the squish, basically.
Probably wise.
Harald, still kind of over Soldier's shoulder. Sir Terminus, isn't that cool? It's a flying fortress. My mother used to tell me about these. Like, I'm pretty sure that my grandfather had one, and maybe like before him. But I never thought I would see one. This is awesome. Again, Harald is a 14-year-old boy.
I think Terminus will try and definitely like staff either sheathed on his back or something like that, going for like the least confrontational approach possible, and we'll say something along the lines of, "We seek transport. Mysterious flying fortress could be useful. Is it available for hire?"
Roll a persuasion check. It's gonna have to be good.
That would be a natural 1 on the persuasion check, please.
We are screwed. We are so screwed.
Hey, at least I can sleep soundly knowing we attempted to de-escalate. We may have fucked it up, but at least we haven't directly escalated. Other than blowing up this man's door and invading his house.
And trespassing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Detail.
de-escalation.
He kind of looks at you, and then looks down at the baby in his arms, and he kind of raises his hand, and the stars rear up on either side of him, and then he looks back at the baby, which is still crying, and he pats its head. I hope you like short stops, sudden stops, and the wind whistling through your ears. It has been a pleasure, gentlemen. You have made an enemy this day. And he clicks his fingers and vanishes.
Why do we keep making enemies?
Yeah.
The tower continues to tremble, and now you're aware of a whistling wind. Soldiered from the outside, the tower is now 30 feet in the air.
Uh-oh. Can we, like, look out the window, run over to the window and find
There
out
are
what's
no
happening?
wind.
Doctor, just checking, Doctor. You have feather fall, right? I think we're
I
going to
absolutely
need
have
it.
feather fall. And I was hoping not to have to use it, but here we go. So you say we're aware of whistling and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So Terminus will very
papers are like blown up to one side.
Terminus will
There's
very
a
to go.
howling wind.
Diplomacy protocol failed. Evacuate. Evacuate.
Whoa. Before we evacuate Terminus, do you know how to operate you're a machine. You must know how to operate a flying fortress, right? Maybe?
I'll defer to the bard on that one.
Roll a knowledge arcana.
That is a natural 20, 26 in total.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So that's on you. What the fuck that means?
We're going to put the ball in style, bitches.
Strap in, lad.
Terminus knows that, like, if they were to correctly... So, there's basically an enchantment which will bind the Flying Fortress to a particular object. It might be a wizard's spellbook, it could be a staff, it could be like a gemstone, or like an enchanted ring, or an amulet, but there will be an object that specifically controls the fortress. If he were to obtain control of the object, he would be able to control the fortress.
So I'll have relayed that information to the other two as quickly as possible. Like something like, find control mechanism may be possible to prevent uncontrolled deceleration.
I mean, if Zelda has taught me anything, is it the giant glowing
gonna
hourglass in the middle of the room?
Can I do a perception check to see if anything has changed in the room when the direction of movement changed?
You certainly can roll a perception check, please, Talamanca.
All right. That is a 16.
Now, this gets very interesting.
Ooh.
Oh no.
With a 16, obviously, like, things are moving in the chamber, so like the papers are being blown around. It's a bit chaotic, but you know that, like, you clock a series of footsteps going do 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 behind one of the bookcases. You can't see your wizard friend Darcy Fitzwilhelm III anymore, but it's not because he's vanished. He's still in the room. He's just invisible.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Oh, it's the baby. The baby is the control device.
We can steal a baby. We can steal a baby.
What heights of moral dubiety can we reach
More
this
war
episode?
crimes.
The party graduating from casual murder to outright infanticide.
Okay, so
Oh god.
I will also award a point of inspiration to Terminus for his interaction there with Darcy. So even in the face of abject failure, still maintaining character despite his obvious frustration as a player.
That was good.
all right, I'm going to telepathically communicate to one. I can only do one person, right? I can only communicate to one person, which probably here is best Terminus,
That makes sense.
to let him know that I know where the wizard is, without the wizard knowing that we know where he is.
Oh, very smart. I like to play.
What does that sound like to Terminus? Is that Talamanca's voice or is it the spooky voice?
It is this is Talamanca's voice.
Okay.
So I've seen the wizard. He's behind the bookshelves. He's here but invisible.
Behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah.
He's here but he's invisible. That's not what Talamanca sounds like. That is the spooky voice.
Okay, what action from the party?
So, let's do a bit of a rules check. I have a spell which, in an area, can basically reveal where things are, where people or objects are. That casts on an area, not on a target necessarily, so I don't know how it would necessarily be affected by invisibility, and whether I can have enough targeting information from Talamanca to be able to cast this successfully in an area, a 20-foot cube.
So I'm going to. Well, anyway, we'll hear the answer to that, but I'm going to make a suggestion in a moment.
Yep.
But let's hear the answer to that.
With a 20-foot cube, Talamanca is confident, or he reckons it would take a check. Obviously, he'd have to provide instructions, and Terminus would have to interpret those instructions. But that's definitely a possibility, and definitely a plan that could succeed.
What were you going to say?
I still have friends to use yet. And we've already made an enemy. So if we ask him to tell us and perhaps give us the whatever the object is that operates the tower.
So we could use friends to intimidate him, essentially. Cause it would
We'll use friends to get him to give us the
Yeah.
the
Well, yeah,
driving,
friends gives you
the
advantages
reins.
on charisma checks, so that could give us an advantage on... I feel like an intimidation check is the only thing that makes remote sense.
Yeah.
If you're going to hold the man hostage, or hold the infant strapped to him hostage in exchange for his tower, it's definitely an intimidation check.
Like, right, obviously we all agree that child murder is bad, but temper...
How have we arrived here? It's only the second
we
section.
agree that that's bad, but temporary abduction for use as leverage is completely different, morally speaking.
This is only the second session we've played Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm just glad that Soldred isn't here to hear all of this discussion.
Yeah. Quick, murder the children while Soldred's not here to stop us.
In any case, so what is the plan then? What is the party's plan?
So my suggestion is we cast Friend, intimidate into him giving us the reins to drive the tower, whatever that may be, and then scram with the tower in tow. Pick up Soldred and Harald, go to Eastwatch, have a cup of tea, wait for this whole thing to blow over.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a risky.
Okay.
I mean,
I feel like every way of exiting this situation is risky. I think there's just a lot of things about flying at a tower 30 foot in the air that are inherently risky.
Okay, so the current strategy is for Terminus to cast his spell that reveals...
Well, that may not be
No.
necessary. I
So
think
if I say Friend and he tells us what it is, then you can cast your spell to find it. Or if he gives it to us, then you don't even need to, right?
yeah, I think
So if I
friends,
cast Friends
friends
first-
followed by intimidation from someone.
sure. I think I'm pretty
Dagmar
good.
might be better at intimidation.
What's your intimidation?
So I have +2 intimidation.
I also have +2, I think, but I
Okay.
also have
Well, if you cast
notoriously unreliable rolling.
So technically, looking at the specific wording, Friends only gives you the advantage on the checks, boy. So
okay.
I feel like, in fairness, you did literally make this guy wet himself with fear earlier.
Yeah.
So I feel like if anyone is in a fantastic position to make intimidation checks against him, he still doesn't even know you're here. You
Yeah,
just some
exactly.
creepy lizard who licked his ear and whispered things at him. So
From a mechanical perspective, the reason that we're not rolling a combat with the very high-level wizard is that he rolled a natural 1 on his saving throw against Dissonant Whispers, so he is terrified at the moment. And
I think we can and indeed should leverage that.
Yeah, okay, the leverage option it is then. Fine. Let's cast
This isn't
Friend.
necessarily kidnapping a child, it just depends on what this control device is.
Now, interestingly, the wording of the spell Friends doesn't say you have to see the target that you intend to interact with or intimidate. So, like, you could cast Friends yourself and then attempt to intimidate him. Is that what Talamanca's course of action?
Yes, I think yes.
Brilliant, then. So, drawing in his kind of newfound eldritch strength, Talamanca feels this time the kind of cloying, wet presence kind of rise up within him, but this time it's not unpleasant. This time he relishes in it as he kind of booms out, his voice and presence magically augmented by the spell. Can you roll me an intimidation check? And I believe that the Friends gives you advantage.
Yep.
Can roll that. Which is good because that was a 2. The second one was also a 2. Excellent. That was a 4.
Please tell me you have inspiration or something.
I do not have inspiration.
Oh no.
You also can't roll inspiration on a roll that already has advantage.
No,
The
that's
statistical
probably fair.
likelihood of rolling... Future Doctor, work out the statistical likelihood of rolling 2 2s consecutively.
The one in 400.
Yep, 1 in 400.
But also, then you do need to modify that by the fact it's the boy doing it, so it's essentially 1 in
The boy
1.
factor.
Yeah.
From the exterior of the tower, the rushing of the wind seems to only intensify. From the exterior of the tower, Soldred, the tower is now 80 feet in the air.
Oh no.
I'm even further back. Like, those stones are going everywhere.
Can you roll me a perception check, please, Talamanca?
I can. That is a 14.
You've lost track of the wizard. So his footsteps were behind the bookcase tumbles over, there's papers being blown around. With his natural roll of a 16 plus his modifier for stealth, and he's invisible, you've lost track of the wizard, Darcy Fitzwilhelm III. You're now actively aware the tower, like, you feel pressed down into the earth. The tower can only be going up.
I think it's time to leave.
Time to bail.
I think Terminus will see all this go down and go like, must initiate evacuation protocol, and just prepare to run back down and just leap out of the door and get ready to deal with that fall.
Can each member of the party roll me an athletics check as like the driving wind resists you? You kind of sprint back down the passageway, like wind whipping away at you, like the cold air.
That was a 12 from Talamanca.
That was a 10 from Dagmar.
And that's a 17 from Terminus.
17. Terminus is able to make it to the exit, but the driving wind, Dagmar kind of stumbles back, his beard getting caught. Similarly with Talamanca, like as the wind whips past them, blowing at their faces, they each take 4 points of cold damage.
Ooh.
Terminus able to resist the wind and make it direct to the precipice. 20 feet behind him, up the spiral staircase. The rest of the party still lumbering forwards. The tower now 150 feet in the air and gaining altitude rapidly.
Right, Terminus at the precipice is going to look down, make some quick calculations, and then going to twist his staff in a certain way, and some little things come out the end. They look like... Have you ever seen those little like cylinders of either like nitrogen dioxide or like carbon dioxide that you use sometimes for like inflating balloons or like inflating tires or whipping cream? Those little things, about 6 or 7 of them. And he's going to quickly like strap a couple of them onto his own legs, and they just kind of clunk clunk in place, and get ready to give a couple to the others, with the intention of using these as like reverse thrusters to slow their descent.
This, of course, being the spell Featherfall.
It's been the spell Featherfall that I fucking learned last time to prepare.
You knew.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I guess
As the party makes it to the precipice, Terminus knows the abilities of the spell. As he passes these kind of little canisters around, they look at him with confusion as Terminus just falls backwards over the side. The little thruster slowing his descent as he begins the 150-foot descent back towards the earth. Can I have both Talamanca and Dagmar roll me charisma saving throws? See if they have. If
Are
they
you
have the
comfortable
nerve.
enough throwing yourself out of a fucking tower? This I am.
That was it. What was that?
It was a 6 again.
6s! This is bullshit!
Oh, dear.
A 13 from Talamanca.
Talamanca has made the save, so Talamanca looks over at Dagmar, looks at the open doorway. He realizes Dagmar's not going to jump. What does he do? The tower now gaining altitude. The ground is looking very, very far away.
To be fair, dwarves don't like being up in the sky.
Can I try and persuade him to jump?
No, you can't persuade.
You can't use persuasion
Have you got...
on him.
Remind me which cantrips you took.
I took Dancing Lights, Friends, Mage Hand, Mind Sliver, and Minor Illusion.
Mage Hand, eh?
Mage yeet me out the door.
Mage Hand can only
lift like 30 pounds or something, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Can I just push him though?
I mean, yeah, that's also an option. Regular lizard hands is an option.
Make me an athletics check, please, Talamanca, if you intend to push him.
Okay. Sorry, Dagmar. For your own good.
No,
That was
dragon
a
is
17.
happy. Yes. Yes.
What did you roll?
17.
A 17. Dagmar's a pretty heavy dude. It's like he's in full plate armor, like he's a big, robust dwarven figure. But with a 17, you just slam your lizard body into the side of him. Dagmar tumbles outside, and the little thruster ignites, throwing yourself after, making a kind of big star. Talamanca is able to kind of skydive down after him. The wind whistling through the party's ears as they descend. Hopefully, we can get this on the roving cam as the party.
Beautiful.
Down to land
Magnificent.
with the safety of Soldred and Harald. Party reunited on the ground. As the tower,
That was wildly unsuccessful.
the tower still containing the wizard Darcy Fitzwilhelm III, and the strange infant that was strapped to his chest continues to soar overhead and out of sight into the clouds. I think, because that was not at all how I expected any of this to go, that we're going to take a brief break, either to the bathroom or refill our drinks. We hope you're still with us, folks. Remember, like, share, subscribe. We love you, and we'll see you very soon.
Good day.